Okay.
That's not gonna work.
No. You. Oh, there he is. There he is. Look at that stash. Nice strong mustache. I can't get away with that. A little shorter than I thought.
He gets haircuts?
He gets it cut. Who cuts his hair?
Welcome back to New Rockstars. This is our reaction to The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 7, Chapter 15, The Believer. You guys, Erik is like doing so much right now. You guys saw the Star Wars news and the Marvel news, and oh god, there's news I haven't even told him about yet because he will quit on the spot. So I'm filling it. I'm Molina filling in. I don't even know my own damn name. I'm sorry. I know that you guys want Erik, but let the boy play. Let the boys play. This is WikiLeaks, our Mandalorian After Show, brought to you by our good friends at Manscaped, which I do every week with their products. And again, I'm Phil Molina, and this is Tommy Bechtold.
Yes, let them play. Let them play. Let them play. God, I need a Manscaped. I'm looking over here. I got some action over here I don't love. I've got some action over here. I've got wizard brows coming out. I need a Manscaped. I need a Planscape, Philip. I need to escape from whatever hell I'm in right now that is not allowing me to groom myself.
We'll get into some manscaping that was revealed on this episode of The Mandalorian, by the way, later in the episode when we go real deep into he took off his helmet and what we think about that. That'll be near the end of the episode. But a quick reminder to get your limited edition This Is The Way shirt exclusive from the New Rockstars official merch store, newrockstarsmerch.com. Guys, finally, we are down to the last 200 shirts. We sold a lot of these shirts, but again, because it's a limited edition, we're gonna kill it. Even though we're like, people seem to enjoy the shirt. So it's either gonna sell out first or on December 20th, boom, it's gone forever. Limited edition, latest obsession #1 can no longer be gotten. So if you're trying to do the collectibles where, you know, #2 is coming up soon after, hint, hint, it's a Marvel shirt, then you need to get #1 right now. Also, by the way, just throwing out there the little baby Grogu shirt, it's your last chance to grab that one too. That one, as soon as it sells out, we won't be reordering because it scares us to be selling that shirt at all.
Yes. My This Is The Way shirt arrived in the mail this week, but since my mom bought it for me as a Christmas present, she won't let me have it until Christmas. So I was planning on wearing it today, but she's taking a hard line. So you're just going to have to wait.
Tommy!
And she didn't even order me a shout out.
Speaking of shout outs, you can add a shout out whenever you order a latest obsession shirt. It's an extra $2.99. I'm going to read from some shout outs, but as I'm pulling the shout outs up, I'm going to call out that, Tommy, we would have given you a shirt for free.
I was happy to support.
No, you weren't. Your mom did it.
Well, you know, I made her support. It was what do you call a symbiotic relationship. She gave me life, and I have given her massive debt.
This is the way.
Yes.
Okay, so quick little shout outs here that are fun. I'm going to point out some. We've got happy birthday to Swapnika, and also, oh, this is nice, Gerald Reynolds III. One good thing to come out of this year is the binge time with his sons Toby and Gabe. That is really nice. I've binged so much stuff, and I started doing this crazy thing where I started noting every single show I've ever seen. I've seen over 300 television shows, and like half of that's been in quarantine.
Yeah, those are some good stats. Now I want to do that. I think mine would just make me sad.
Yeah, it's a crazy waste of time.
Mine is all Coach and Murphy
It's
Brown.
all Coke?
Coke. Mine's all coked up. It's a lot of South Park at 4 a.m.
So I can't really remember. I binged 1,000 hours in 28 days. Yeah. Also, happy birthday to Douglas Andrew. I don't know the baseball player's name, so it's pronounced like the baseball player, but I don't know how to say it. Wyatt Hodges, a shout out. Congrats to Anisha and Anton on your engagement from Zach. Real quick, there's what I gotta call out here because she has the best name. I love this message from to John Tan, but it's thanks for sharing your love of Star Wars Mandalorian with us. But it's from Zara Tan, who sounds like the most Star Warsy character.
Yes.
Ever.
Zara Tan, I served under her in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, exactly. I remember she's guilty of many war crimes, Zara Tan. I think Zara Tan is a mom out there, but doesn't mean she can't be guilty of war crimes.
No.
And then finally, Moist Coitus, this is the way. Moff Coitus is also Grand Moff Coitus is a terrible criminal.
Grand Moff Coitus. Oh, God. Yikes.
Much better than Grandma's coitus.
We will now show you the power of a fully operational moist coitus. Ugh.
Moist, one of the worst words in the English language.
Yes.
Tommy.
Yeah.
It's time we get a recap of this episode. What
We're
happened?
Recapping. That's the jingle I just came up for it. We're recapping.
Don't love it.
Well, it's a work in progress. We'll workshop it. This may be the most morally confusing episode of The Mandalorian. I'm not sure that we were the good guys or rooting for the good guys at any point, but we'll get into that. Cara Dune remands the Mandalorian's old enemy, Migs Mayfeld, played by my close personal friend, Bill Burr, into her custody to acquire the coordinates.
Won't take your calls.
No, doesn't. Calls. Has no idea who I am. Coordinate to Moff Gideon's ship. Mayfeld directs them to a hidden Imperial Rhydonium refinery on Morak, which we were told was an empty wasteland. No, my friend. The Empire has a secret little shack up in there.
QAnon was right.
That's right. When they arrive, the Mandalorian elects to accompany Mayfeld into the refinery in order to access a terminal and steal the coordinates, as all the others are known to Imperial security. Kind of a funny, like, I can't go moment in the show where they were all like, I can't go for this reason, I can't go for this reason. And then Mando is like, well, no one knows who I am because I never take my helmet off. So Mayfeld and the Mandalorian hijack an Imperial transport, disguise themselves as soldiers. They barely survive attacks by pirates who detonate highly explosive Rhydonium shipments, and they're able to just barely get out alive. When for the first time in my life I uttered the phrase, wow, thank God the TIE fighters showed up. Which was, again, a confusing moment. And they get to the facility, and they find the main terminal. Mayfeld sees his former commanding officer, Valen Hess, a great Star Wars name, and fears being recognized.
Ooh, could you imagine if they kept showing that guy's face and like, and then it's never acknowledge it, and they're like, that guy's weird.
That extra really formed an opinion. He was looking at him like he was a steak. He was like eyeing him up and down.
The editors are like, we're trying to edit around it, but this guy is in every shot.
He's just so expressive. Is that Grand Moist Coitus? We haven't seen him since Alderaan erupted in a shattering orgasm. It's Orgeron collided with Alderaan. Orgytron is a robot that I built. So the Mandalorian says, I got this. He goes in to the terminal, but oh no, the terminal requires a facial scan. Well, that is the way. He lifts off the helmet, shows us that beautiful, beautiful face we've been waiting a year to see, because you can't Google Pedro Pascal. You can't. It's cheating.
Well, you can't Google the guy who actually plays the role.
Yes, it's not John Wayne's grandson who actually is in the suit. That's a true fact.
That's a true fact!
That's a true fact, I told you. I didn't just make up a weird thing. He's confronted by Hess, and then I kind of enjoyed, like, a stammering Mando. Like, he was like, I don't really know how to answer these questions, so I'm just going to kind of figure out which one of my cool weapons to use. But he doesn't have his suit, so... The
truth is, Pedro Pascal has never recorded a scene for the show in his life. He did not know he was in a Star Wars show. They drop him in. That's a true fact. He's just like, all right, and do I say, is my name Mando or Din?
Am I baby
Was
Groot?
It Din or Pedro?
Am I baby Yoda?
Yeah, and then so Bill Burr's like, I got this.
Like,
Let's call him Brown Eyes.
I'm coming in. It's hot out here.
They cut out all the times he kept saying, like, I'm like CGI though, right? Like, they're not gonna like see me.
Just as long as they don't see this face. Okay, so he's confronted by Hess. Mayfeld intervenes in kind of one of the more enjoyable scenes I saw. And then Hess says, let's get a drink, boys. So they have a tense drink where Hess basically insinuates that not only does he not know who Mayfeld is, but he doesn't know who any of the soldiers under him are. They're just bodies and a means to an end for him. They reminisce about Operation Cinder, which sends Mayfeld into such a rage that he shoots Hess dead, creating one of those great insurmountable Star Wars moments where it's like 2 versus 2,000. Luckily, the 2,000 can't shoot, so it doesn't ever matter.
They are wearing the helmets.
That's true.
Where, if you've ever seen their visor line, it's like right here.
It's not conducive for marksmanship.
Could you imagine if they like take off their helmets and every stormtrooper's eyes are like over here?
they're like amphibious,
like hammerhead people.
They do those weird sideways blinks from Men in Black. Okay, so Mayfeld and Mandalorian, they have to fight their way out. We get introduced to what I'm going to dub the Wilhelm Wail. It's like a Wilhelm scream, but like 2 stormtroopers fall and they go, ah! It was much more of a wail than a scream. I'll have what she's having. And they're also, they get a nice assist from Fennec and Cara Dune, who are shooting from up in the hill. And then, of course, the man, the myth, the legend, Boba Fett comes in to drop another 2-for-1 grenade kill on 2 TIE fighters. which was truly another incredible segment. What a time. It only took 40 years, but we now are finally getting to see Boba Fett traversing the galaxy in the Slave One being a complete badass. So as I said, Fett obliterates them. Dune and Mando kind of agree to let Mayfeld go as a thank you for all of his help. And Mandalorian then sends Moff Gideon what I like to call a cover song. He covers Moff Gideon's hit from the first season, basically reiterating the message from Moff about how he means more to him than you'll ever know. And he vows to rescue young Grogu, which, of course, I will still only refer to as Baby Yo-Yo from this point on. And then the credits roll.
God, beautiful. You know, you just reminded me this moment with Boba Fett. It was very cool. But also, one of my favorite moments of Boba Fett was just that subtle thing where he's like, yeah, they might recognize me. And he doesn't mean like, because I'm Boba Fett, he means there was a time when every single person in the Empire that was under these helmets looked exactly like me.
Right.
Like, literally, like, every single one, if anyone.
Yes.
It's like, holy shit, that's the guy we're all based on.
Wait a second.
At one point, not now, but still. Could you imagine there's, like, this, like, war memorial wall where it's just, like, all the great generals from the Stormtrooper days, and they all look exactly like his father?
Yeah. Employee of the month. For like 25 straight years, it's just like him going up there. That's great. Someone should meme
But
that.
they're all different ones.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great episode. A lot of great moments in it. Again, I think the thing that was the most jarring for me, though, was at the end of that great pirate chase scene when the TIE fighters show up and you're like, whew! And then you realize, like, oh, I've been conditioned to be afraid of everything I'm seeing right now.
You're cheering for the wrong guys.
And they even changed the music. It was still very, like, Imperial, but it was much more, like, heroically Imperial. Like, it was still, like, those, like, bass drum beats.
like Pomp and Circumstance kind of.
Right, but it was much more like, this is the good guys now, as they're all celebrating. It was a bizarre moment for me.
Yeah, my favorite thing, so the guy who directed this also wrote it, and he's written a couple of feature films that are, like, complicated about, like, diverse backgrounds and you know, what it means to be who you are and part of a larger group. So he definitely is bringing those themes in there. And I think that one of the best things a writer can do, and it's so rare that they do this, but it's that whatever the characters are experiencing on screen, you try to find a way to make the viewer feel literally the same feelings. So they literally are empathizing in that moment with the character because they feel it. And so that's what you're going through in that moment, where you're feeling like, thank God for TIE fighters.
Yeah.
And that's not a thing that we should ever feel.
No.
But that's what the characters are also going through, and it's such a complicated question.
Yeah, but overall, I thoroughly enjoyed this.
Good. I'm glad that you're gonna stick with this show.
What? I'm giving it one more
You're
episode.
like, look, I'm giving it 17 episodes. Tommy, I want to get into some people were, I just was looking to see what people were saying about this episode, and some people were saying that it actually was like a bit of a filler episode. And I want to get into the deeper meaning of this episode, because to me this was in some ways maybe a filler episode for the plot of The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
But in some ways it was kind of like the most important story ever told in Star Wars.
Yes, let's get into it, baby, because I don't disagree with you.
Okay, you need to snort your Adderall real quick.
It's already in there. I keep it preloaded. It's like a double-barrel shotgun. It's already in there.
If it's good enough for the president. All right. So, I'm talking about Joe Biden.
Yeah, of course.
I'm kidding. Remember when Trump accused Biden of, like, he's like, he did really good in that debate only because he clearly, like, you know, did Adderall or something. It's like, man, are you guilty of feeling like
every time
it's something that is so specific to you?
Yeah. I don't know if Biden's hair is real. I got to be honest. I suspect that his hair is manufactured in a lab.
Yeah, it has issues. Also, I think he might be rich.
He also accused him of golfing too much, which was truly an incredible moment. This is the deeper meaning.
Real quick, I'll say I have nothing against Adderall. I very much need it. I have a prescription that I am very happy about because it means I can do all of these things. Yeah. Speaking of doing things I do on Adderall is looking too intensely into Star Wars. Okay, so let's get into it. The episode was called The Believer. And I think that it's trying to contrast the role of the believer with the role of the zealot, which, you know, religious zealots or even like socio-political zealots, whatever. It's people that believe wholeheartedly without consideration of context and perspective and paradigm. So the concept of a believer is is before the level of zealot, where maybe you do have strong beliefs, but you're still willing to question them. And I think that's what this episode is really trying to get everyone to do, is question their beliefs. So then this is happening again because the director was the same person as the writer, and is going for a lot of like metaphor here. It's happening in very literal ways, and it's happening in kind of subtextual ways, but it's all about the shades of gray. And I think there's a reason why our heroes were wearing gray trooper armor for the whole episode, because it really wanted to call out, like, no, we're not going to put them in the traditional white. We're not going to put them in, like, Death Trooper stuff or whatever. It's just a subtle way, and people a lot of times think I'm bullshitting about Star Wars colors, but Star Wars is the most color-based thing ever in archetypes. Every lightsaber has a color meaning. The Jedi being shades of brown, it all is color based. But so it's about that, right? The shades of gray. It's about the concept of hiding behind armor in general, and it's about the concept of anonymity associated with that. So, like I was saying, some people saw this episode very much as a side mission, which a lot of the episodes of Mandalorian can feel like. But what I was saying earlier is, I think this was like a thesis level response to one of the most famous questions ever posed against the Star Wars universe. Are we sure we are the good guys?
Right.
Probably most famous in Kevin Smith's Clerks. They're talking about the destruction of the second Death Star, which is still underway. And his character points out, wouldn't there have been thousands of independent contractors on an unfinished battle station? Aren't those innocent victims of left-wing militants?
I remember when that question was first posed in Clerks. I was pretty young, but that blew my mind. I was like, oh yeah, of course.
You start crying.
Yeah, you're like, oh right, there was a guy that was putting in windows, and is like the glass guy on the Death Star that was like, honey, exactly. I got the contract for the Death Star. We can retire after this. And then he's up there in a million pieces.
It's the old couple from the beginning of Up.
Yeah. That's why she died. A broken heart. He's a ghost. Yeah. A Force ghost.
So this episode was exploring that question from the outset of the episode, like right away at the beginning. Even when Cara Dune starts the episode, she's not defying the Empire when she's breaking Mayfeld out. She's defying the New Republic.
Right. And
they're teaming with a criminal, and yet we're on the side of good, right?
Yeah.
But really, the themes of the episode become really clear when, like Tommy described that moment, when Mando has to wear the helmet of a stormtrooper. That is about as close to being walk a mile in another man's shoes as you could ever get. It's literally another guy's helmet. Mayfeld actually calling out the guy's wet gloves was really hilarious and gross to picture, and you could just hear it almost
yeah.
But it's actually to call out the humanity inside of that armor.
Right.
That it's reminding you these are real people that sweat and bleed and believe in things inside of those suits. But sticking with the helmet for a sec. So that is the most literal metaphor for what this entire show, The Mandalorian, is getting to. And is it possible for this cowboy bounty hunter to be on the side of good? And that's really a frequent question in a lot of Westerns in general, and this show's really inspired by a lot of Westerns. So let's talk really quick about helmets in Star Wars. They have always represented anonymity and unquestioned faith, like being a believer. And probably the best examples of that are one, the white stormtrooper helmet with completely empty eyes. That's meant to be the image of an anonymous foot soldier. Literally, they don't have names, and they make them all identical in this way that removes any sense of identity. Then you have Luke, who's being challenged to give into his faith fully by Obi-Wan. So Obi asks him to lower the blast shield on his helmet, literally blind himself. Don't worry about what your eyes are telling you, just believe, which is some total brainwash bullshit.
Completely agree. I mean, that's like when you took me to the batting cages and made me put my sweatband over my eyes, and you said, just stand in the center of the cage and believe in yourself. And
right, and then I beat you with a bat.
yeah, into submission.
Yeah.
And now I work here.
And then the third biggest example of that helmet idea is also Darth Vader, clear and it's all black, easily the archetype, the most clear archetype of a bad guy ever. But finally, when he returns to the side of good, it's the only time we ever see him in the original trilogy remove his helmet.
Right.
We actually get to see his face, and his humanity is restored. So this show and this question is asking, who are you underneath the helmet, behind the armor? That's why there's so much focus on the armor on this show. And while Mayfeld does a good job of equating Mando's armor to Stormtrooper armor, there is a hint that Mando's blind faith is actually a little more solid than the Stormtrooper one, when we see in that fight with the pirates and the Imperial armor like falls apart so easily. But famously, we know Beskar would never have any issues there.
Right.
So it's a more solid faith, and that's being equated with the armor. But that also does not mean that Mando is more morally correct.
Right.
It just means that you actually have to assess him by his actions more than by his edict.
I've found a lot of that compelling in this episode, that Bill Burr played such a, what's the right word for this, devil's advocate almost, of like, I understand that you think it's this,
Right.
but don't you see how
Absolutely.
we're not that different from each other? Like, that whole speech was like, you think that because you wear this armor and this helmet and have this code, that you're this superior being to me. But in actuality, our impulses and our desires are not that differently aligned.
Yeah, in the simplest way, we can say, don't judge a book by its helmet.
Right.
And so there is a way to properly judge it, though, right? The right way to do it. If you are fully anonymous, then how do you judge it? And it's the classic Invisible Man question, right? If you could get away with anything anonymously, what would you do? Tommy, what would you do if you were an Invisible Man?
Oh, man. How do I answer this without having people on Twitter call me a creep? I would just sit in Barnes & Noble and read
Don't be a creep!
I would read all the books. I would just read books and never pay for books. That would be my one vice. So I'd never buy a book again.
Only you would know that you're fully nude in Barnes & Noble.
Oh,
again.
yeah. I would never wear clothes. I mean, I'm already to the point where I won't put on anything that requires buttons or zippers, but I could go the next level and just never wear clothes again.
Yeah, except for that gimp mask I got you.
Yeah.
We had to do a shoelace string on the front instead.
Yeah, you had to reinforce that because I was so persistent.
Or another way to think of it, actually, that is maybe a little bit easier to perceive rather than the Invisible Man theory, because that's kind of like the silly alternate reality. But what about you, viewer, and you, Tommy, and me, Filup? What kind of internet commenter are you, right? Do you hide behind the anonymity of the internet and say things that you would never dream of saying if they were tied to your actual name? Or maybe you're the kind that I don't need credit for when I say good things, and I just want to add positivity. Because
Right.
both of those are extremely possible on the full spectrum of that.
Sure. My preferred commenting is something really, really mean, and then as soon as the person responds, I say, actually, I'm just a really big fan of yours, and
I was just
something to get
kidding.
your attention. It was all a big joke.
Yeah.
I didn't mean the things that I said that caused you to respond to me. My bad.
I'll give you a quick note that I handle our Olorin merch customer service, or a lot of it. And people's incoming messages are a lot meaner than when they're like, "Oh, you're actually seeing this."
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry I was so mean to a stranger, but it's like
Right.
the other person we had at one point helping with customer service was this 55-year-old woman.
Yeah.
It was just like a mom, and she was like, "Oh God."
Also,
Be nice to everybody. Is one of that. But okay.
Not to dive too deep into customer service, but we're conditioned to be like, you have to be kind of blunt with customer service for these bigger corporations to have them do anything to help you. Like, if you call Delta Airlines
Right.
and are like super nice to
Totally.
them, they will get you off the phone with no resolution in 10 minutes. But if you call Delta Airlines and swear at
Yeah.
them and say, this is unacceptable, I'm going to like lose my mind, then you have a chance of them helping you, which is so screwed up and up of our society that we don't reward, you know,
Right.
kindness and
Yeah,
empathy.
when I call any major corporate airline, I keep hitting 0 and say,
Yes.
speak to a human, speak
Yes.
to a human,
Yeah.
or whatever, but
You
even
have-
if it is a human,
Yeah.
until I'm like, and they're like, I am a human, and I'm like, no, you're beneath,
Yeah,
I mean a manager.
Send me a
That's
blood
where
sample.
humans
I need
start.
you to expedite me a blood sample. I'll stay on the line.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, really, if you're a human, which one of these is full of motorcycle pictures, huh? And they're like, this isn't a visual phone call. And I'm like, sounds like a bot.
Click on the chimney, you
so, okay.
bastard.
There's a... yeah. Anyway, I would like that refund.
Yeah.
So, and speaking of this idea of face identity and really being true to assessing ourselves, that's a big reason of why I made it so that on New Rockstars, we would be the channel that wouldn't be afraid to put our faces on camera. A lot of people that cover what we cover never show their face on camera. And I was like, no, we're definitely going to show it because, one, I am very, very vain. But two, aside from that, we put our faces to our words and we write our scripts because we are the ones saying it. And we're saying, yes, this is us. We are not always right, but we are pretty much always honest and authentic to what we believe. And we're going to sign that with our big, ugly faces. And so, the brilliant writing moment in the episode is when Mando has to freaking take off his helmet for the greater good. And I call it brilliant because they tied, remember I was talking about trying to bring things and make them happen kind of at the same time. They tied the breaking of the most significant rule that we know that Mando lives by to the literal metaphor for unmasking yourself and revealing who you really are. Like that's just great writing. But now, something worth noting. There is a big distinction between the troopers that we see around who aren't taking their helmets on and off, other than literally just Mayfeld and Mando are the only ones we see kind of actually do that, and the Imperial officers. Those are the ones we do see their faces, right? It's one of the most obvious connections in cinema that the Empire is based on the Nazis, and the Imperial officers are modeled after Hitler's SS officers. But I'm going to argue that this episode actually is not making that case. I think it's saying the Empire is America.
Oh. And why is that?
Note, okay, there's a couple of like little clues for that. Well, it was like kind of what you were talking about, how it made you feel, and it's because these little tricks that were being done. For instance, all the saluting that was going on, we almost never see that kind of saluting in Star Wars. Yeah. And if we did, maybe it would have been more like the Nazi-style salutes. You know, we famously saw that was in Force Awakens, where it basically is Nazi-style saluting. This was like a traditional American-style military salute. Also, exactly that TIE fighter moment. They come in and it feels like freaking Top Gun, or like the plane's coming in to save the day at the end of Saving Private Ryan. And probably the most obvious connection that I saw that I think is definitely on purpose was when Valen Hess says everybody thinks they want freedom, but what they really want is order. And when they realize that, they're going to welcome us back with open arms. They're going to welcome us back with open arms. That's almost exactly what Dick Cheney said leading up to the Iraq War. We will, in fact, be greeted as liberators. How did that turn out, by the way?
Not great. Not great.
No, well, you made a lot of money, but for most people,
my independent contracting company, Bechtold, we're still in there installing what we call dirty wells.
You took down Saddam's palace, replaced it with just one terrible well. But okay, even just keeping the connections there alive to American military history, even when Mayfeld is going on his rant there and he's reminiscing about Operation Cinder, that's not based on, the famous example of a Nazi soldier doing that. That's coming from the idea of like a traumatized Vietnam vet questioning why he even was sent to war in the first place. So I'm not saying that the Empire has always like actually been based on America. It's definitely the Nazis. But this episode is arguing that it's kind of organized military force in general could be the Empire. And so it's important for the believers to question their beliefs. Like Mando is now questioning, like Mayfeld has previously questioned, right, in his history. When you're following other people's orders, how do you know if you are the liberators or the persecutors? How do we know we're the good guys? Right. And again, that is the most classic Star Wars questions. Are the rebels actually terrorists? And this episode finally gave us the answer to that question. Finally.
I don't have that answer, Filup. What are you trying to get me to commit to? That the rebels are terrorists?
Maybe. That's what the question of the episode is, right? But it all comes down to that scene where they're having drinks. And if you replay that scene, that is someone officially answering for Star Wars, are rebels terrorists? And here's how it goes. Based on the conversation over drinks with Valen Hess, we can examine what is meant by saying something is an act of terrorism. All terrorists kill innocent people. Yes. But not all who kill innocent people are terrorists. Right. The difference lies in the intention of the person doing the killing. If the death of an innocent person was the goal or the means by which you are trying to accomplish your goal, then you are a terrorist. if the death of innocent people was unintended, then you're not, even though your actions could still be morally wrong, it doesn't mean you're a terrorist. So Balan Hess describes the next steps of the Empire with literal glee about the destruction and chaos that they're going to bring.
Yeah.
And how does that differ from when Kevin Smith brings up the idea of the rebel attack on the Death Star 2? You can use the history of the first Death Star, the first battle station, to go by. The rebels can be confident that an unmolested Death Star 2 is going to go on a genocidal killing spree and destroy dozens of planets. So the rebel attack in that situation, therefore, is saving billions of lives and is therefore an appropriate and proportionate response. So anyone who's ever been worried about this, little baby Tommy back in the 6th grade, you can breathe easily because they are saying, yes, the rebels are the good guys.
They're the good guys.
Just we ourselves might not be.
Yeah.
We got to question everything.
I'm definitely a bad good guy.
Yeah. But you mentioned Bill Burr earlier, and I think you're right. Like, that dude's main thing in all his comedy is like, we are all hypocrites. Yeah. So, Tommy, that's my argument for why this was not a BS episode, that this was actually a huge statement inside of Star Wars.
I didn't take this as a BS episode I understand why on the surface it's like, well, they didn't get any closer plot-wise. It didn't make a leaps and bounds with every second, which we've had the last few episodes have been like every 2 minutes another plot point uncovered, every 2 minutes another X on the map on our destiny to get to the end of the quest. This one was more like, here is a bunch of information and emotion about the world of these characters and how they live and how, like, what they really are about and what they really stand for, and it more clearly defines the good versus evil.
And that definition is very complicated.
Yes, absolutely, right.
What are you wearing?
Well, it's not just green lightsaber versus red lightsaber.
By the way, what are you wearing?
I am wearing Buffalo Bills clothes! This is the way.
The free advertising you give to a $1 billion...
to a massive corporation.
Sports organization. Yeah. Speaking of... get your shirts.
Yeah, we're all billionaires. My new Rockstars stock is up like 9,000 points today.
Speaking of us helping corporations, because they help us back, Tommy, we got to give it up to Helix Sleep.
Ooh, baby, do I love Helix.
Tommy, you legitimately sleep on a Helix mattress.
That's right. Me and myself and I, every night, sleep on a Helix mattress.
Ooh, threesome.
It's a threesome every night with me. That's what they say. I'm eating for 3. Sleep can be hard enough when you're staying up way past midnight to watch the latest Mandalorian episode the second it drops. And you don't need to make it harder by sleeping on a saggy old mattress. Don't go to Sears and buy a mattress. That's what your grandparents did, and they're probably racist. Helix Sleep has a 2-minute quiz that matches your body type and sleep preferences to the perfect mattress for you. With Helix, you get a mattress that you know will be perfect for the way you sleep.
How do you sleep, Tommy?
I sleep rolling around, flailing wildly, screaming into the night like a banshee, which, as we all know, is a ghost of Scottish
Operation
origin.
Cinder!
Kellen Voss! Erik Voss! Yes, they have soft, medium, and firm mattresses. Mattresses great for cooling you down if you sleep hot or if you're sleeping with another person, I guess. Like 2 sticks rubbing together.
Gross. I can't sleep next to anyone.
I prefer plexiglass, like a debate. Just a plexiglass shield that comes down. Yeah. And there's even a Helix Plus mattress for plus-size folks. Yes, sir. I don't have a Helix Plus. Someone dropped the ball there. I'm sleeping on a Helix Minus. Off-screen producer Zach recently took the quiz and failed miserably. He got an F. No, just kidding. Off-screen producer Zach recently took the quiz and got matched with the Helix Midnight, which is the sexiest named Helix. Perfect for a side sleeper in need of some pressure point relief. Pew, 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 relief.
And have you seen Zach sleep? I do, and he's a hell of a side sleeper.
Oh my God. I would sleep next to that side any day. When you order the mattress that best fits for you, that you're matched to, they ship it right to your door, just like Santa Claus, for free. The unboxing videos are pretty great, too. Thanks to the viewers that have tagged us in those. I love watching a mattress spring to life like a Cabbage Patch doll, rolling forward, unfurling itself, saying, "Lay on me, lay on me." Helix was awarded the #1 best overall mattress pick of 2020 by GQ and Wired Magazine. Pretty good sources, if you ask me. Just go to helixsleep.com/ Mandalorian. Take their 2-minute sleep quiz, and they'll match you to a custom mattress that will give you the best sleep of your life. I took the sleep quiz. I got a 700 math, an 800 oral.
Oh, God.
They have a 10-year warranty, and you get to try it out for 100 nights risk-free. They'll even pick it up for you if you don't love it, but you will. This isn't a rescue dog that bites your nephew, okay? It's a mattress that's comfortable. Helix is offering up to $200 off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows. Those are pillows. For our listeners at helixsleep.com/Mandalorian.
You know, Erik got some of those free pillows recently, but he doesn't know that I got them first, and so I tried them out, and they were amazing, and then I gave it to him. You know what else I tried out before I gave to him? Manscaped!
Oh.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, men actually shaved their balls with the same razor as their face, and actually, that wasn't that long ago. I wish it was just in college, but I mean,
it's my early 30s.
Fairly recently. Not anymore, thanks to our sponsor, of course, at Manscaped. They're the best in men's below-the-waist grooming, from the toes to the holes. Manscaped is here to help you keep your nether regions as clean as Boba Fett's beautiful bald head, which is maybe equally scarred. But actually with Manscaped, you'll get fewer scars than I used to get with my face razor. That's what I used to show my partner when I would take off my pants. You want to know how I got these scars? And then I would make my scrotum smile.
My mother was a gambler.
Anyway, Tommy, it was a mess. It was like using a lightsaber to wipe my ass. But instead, Manscaper changed the grooming game with the Perfect Package 3.0. Inside the Perfect Package, you'll find an electric trimmer, which I use regularly. The Lawnmower 3.0 is a waterproof and skin-safe trimmer, which reduces nicks. I'm not going to say eliminates them completely, because one time I tried to test these. It's the limits. Yeah. And I mean, they exist. It's not like
the limit exists.
Some sort of weird thing. Yeah. This is the way, guys, to your smooth boys. It also includes the Crop Preserver anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer, the Crop Reviver, and I also have anti-chafing performance boxer briefs in a very sharp black color. I really do like that underwear. Sometimes I just wear it as shorts around the house because it's very comfortable. It's kind of like a thick fabric. It's very Imperial, if you will. Get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com/Mandalorian. And for both these shoutouts, I'm going to remind people that Mandalorian with an A after the D. I know we call him Mando, but Mandalorian, MANDALORIAN. 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com/Mandalorian. May the force be with your balls.
Yeah, baby.
Yay. Quick, it's time for our discussion questions, and then we're done with this bad boy.
Woo, bring it home, baby.
You ready, Tommy? You haven't seen these before, correct?
No, let's get it on.
Tommy, in 2003, you said that you were going to pay me back for the nachos we ordered.
Yes.
But you did not pay me back.
Yes.
Discuss!
Well, Filup, those were nachos to be paid back for. They were my nachos.
Okay, never mind. If we're going to do puns, I don't want to do it.
Sorry, that was cheesy. Let me just pepper in a few more jokes. Chilly out, Filup. Oh, boy. Oh, man. Jalapeno supposed to know. That wasn't a pun. Let's see what else. Let's all just chip in a little bit here, okay? Tostada.
Okay, thanks, Tommy. It's been fun. I was gonna say you lost me at the beginning, you won me back, and then you really just murdered it in a good way.
Yeah,
we learned that you can murder for good this time.
Oh, sure.
Speaking of murdering for good, our discussion question number 1. Those pirates.
Yes.
Do you think that they were actually the bad guys of this episode, and did they deserve to die?
Well, they seem to want to stop the Empire from getting, the Ribanium. They wanted to stop them from the Empire from thriving with the shipment of that unstable element. However, their methods appear to be very extreme. So it's, again, kind of that, blurred lines. Robin Thicke, baby. What a terrible song. I don't know if they deserve to die. I don't think they were good guys because, they were using explosives to kill people. But it definitely didn't feel like they were trying to help the Empire. So what do we say to people like that?
It's tough because, like, part of me wonders if it was based off of, there was this couple years back, Al-Qaeda did something really similar where it was like a train that was carrying some sort of thing, and they like detonated stuff on the train. So clearly, like, modeled after kind of terrorist actions. But that said, like, the only people being hurt in that are Imperial soldiers,
right?
And it is to stop a kind of evil empire, and so you gotta like wonder, like, maybe those are the equivalent of rebels. They just don't happen to look like, you know, Han Solo, so we're just like, kill him, spear him.
Right. They also made an effort to save each other's lives. When the one loses its balance, the other one reaches out to grab them. If they were just like nihilistic killing machines, the one would never have tried to save the other one. You know what I mean? Like they were actively trying to keep each other alive.
I feel like we could argue that this episode's whole point was to teach us that it's all about perspective, and within that perspective, like, those guys probably weren't bad guys, and we shouldn't have rooted for their deaths.
Right.
And if we had just, here's a great example, if we had just turned on an episode of The Mandalorian and never didn't know the context, we would have seen an Empire badass fighter just killing some people that are trying to stop the Empire, and we would have probably been rooting for the other guys.
Right.
Discussion question number 2. What do you think is currently happening to little baby Grogu? We didn't see him at all.
He's just making TikToks up in that ship right now. Like, he's like doing little TikTok dances, but he's making troopers behind him do the dances too with the Force. So he's just... It's a lot of movements.
Yeah, I saw him do like an overhead like tea, how to make good tea, like TikTok. He had like all this stuff laid out. It was pretty good, honestly. Yeah. I saw it on Twitter though, but whatever. So no, he's just like chilling. Like I actually was worried that we were gonna see some sort of like, you know, like him like tied up and like, I'll never tell you.
He's like like Oscar Isaac in The Force Awakens, where he's like just like laying there getting meat prodded by droid needles.
Or I was thinking of one of the James Bond movies where they have that really weird torture device that's like waits on a swing and it hits his balls.
Yes, it's like a weighted rope that he
like
swings under. Yeah, that was awful.
Yeah, and so it's that with Baby Yoda, but they have like a little like thimble with like some pebbles in it on a little piece of floss. I think he likes it. Okay, so we have no idea what was happening, but I'm glad to see that. I don't want to ever see him tortured, so I'm glad we didn't. Number 3, what did you think of the face reveal moment? This is the big question of this episode, right? Like, how'd you feel about it?
I thought it was a great moment. You know, I expected there to be a time when he would take his helmet off. I thought this was a great kind of exclamation point on Mando will do anything to save Grogu. Right, like he will. That his real true code and his real true belief is to protect this kid at all costs, and that this was the moment that even something that he wouldn't do normally, like take his helmet off, is something that he doesn't really hesitate when it really counts. You know, he just doesn't.
Oh yeah, I totally agree that like the payoff of the concept is awesome. Actually, it's like they built this up so much, and now he's gotten to a point where, for, you know, this little creature that means so much to him, it is worth his tearing down his values. And I think that's cool.
I thought he did some great face acting. You know, like it was hard for him. He looked very uncomfortable having his helmet off. I believed that that he was a person who did not like to have his helmet off. Like he looked like a fish out of water.
Yeah,
almost.
It's like when I was in you know, I grew up in Miami and in Florida, and then I went to go visit Chicago once, and I felt like cold air touch my skin for the first time, and I was like, oh, is this normal?
Yes,
it
right,
burns.
exactly. What is this? It's a wind chill, Filup. It's a wind chill.
I love it. Next discussion question. What do you think of him breaking his code? Is this a good thing? Or is the fact that he's now, like, he had this honor code, he's breaking it, is that actually him headed toward a dark path or a bad path?
You know, I'm of two minds of this. On one hand, as a viewer, I get, and you know, as a person, I'm a people pleaser. I get really frustrated when characters are unwilling to waver from their, like, they're like, no, we do it this way. Stubborn characters on TV shows and movies drive me insane. The Seven in Game of Thrones, that whole entire plot line, I was like, these people are ridiculous and they can't be reasoned with. And I think, when you have a code, you tend to be unreasonable about anything that would go against it, and in real life, that stresses me out. People that live in black and white and don't accept any sort of gray area, or that things can be complicated.
Absolutely.
So I think in terms of character growth, it's a very good thing. It's going to allow him to, have different working relationships with different people in this galaxy that'll be fun, that he normally would not collaborate with, that he would be like, no, I'm not working with you. For me, it's a good thing. The only thing that's bad is it's like the honor of being a Mandalorian or whatever. It's like that doesn't carry as much weight. You know what I mean? Like his kind of like steadfast consistency.
He's recently met Mandalorians though that are full of honor and don't do the helmet thing. So
for sure,
he has been given almost a little bit of permission.
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing too. It honors one of the biggest themes of Star Wars, which is the absolutes are a bad thing, right? And that like supreme yes, supreme no is not great. So him going from a zealot to a believer is actually healthy growth. Great. And then our final discussion question I want to ask you is, how on earth could Mando have sending a warning that he's coming for Baby Yoda been a good idea at the end? Like, it was cool. It's like, oh, like he did to him, and it's threatening. Right. But it's like, oh, he got our coordinates to our ship. He's able to send us messages, and he's coming. All right, let's do all the Baby Yoda stuff we need to do right now because he's coming.
I actually thought that this was a really kind of cringy part of the episode. His copying Moff Gideon's message, and was like kind of snarky and weirdly tonally off of how the Mandalorian has been, which makes me think it's a misdirection, that he's doing it on purpose, and there's a reason why. Like we're gonna find out there's a deeper reason why he did it that way. Either another ally that we don't know about yet, that we haven't met yet. There's something that forced them to do it that way, because it just doesn't, to me, it was a misshapen puzzle piece in that episode. It was like, wait, what? When did Mando get kind of snarky and like, like, I'm going to show you? Like, he's never been like that. So to me, it seems like maybe he's doing a rope-a-dope.
I'm glad you have that idea, because that makes me feel better about it. The only thing that was a little weird for me was like, it was just a little bit of clunky writing just on that, where he's like, you have something I want, and he means more to me than, and it was like, well, you're treating it like an object, and then a second later, like a son or whatever, and also like, he means more to me than could ever imagine. It's like, oh, like a father and a son. I can kind of imagine that.
It was antagonizing
cool,
him. But right. But I hear what you're saying. It just, to me, it was when that happens, I now trust this show that they'll pay it off in the next episode, rather than me writing to the people at Disney. I'll leave them alone. I'll leave the people at Disney alone this week.
They sent you a cease and desist just because you're annoying them.
They did.
Speaking of getting letters from Disney, I won't connect this too clearly, but one last reminder that this is the exclusive New Rockstars This Is the Way shirt available at our new merch store, along with a ton of other options at newrockstarsmerch.com. Also, a reminder that the Little Baby Grogu shirt is also going away as soon as it sells out. Both of those things are going to sell out very, very soon, and they're definitely gone by the 20th. That's it for this episode of Wookiee Leaks. Follow me at Filup Molina. Follow Tommy at Tommy Bechtold. Tommy, it's really fun to do these with you, and I'm really excited for the project that we can't tell people about yet that we're going to do together.
Me too, Filup. Can't wait for a new year and a lot of new and fun and exciting things to work with you. Always a pleasure, my friend.
Me always a pleasure. You always a pleasure. Subscribe to New Rockstars to find out what that new project is going to be on YouTube. Subscribe to Wookiee Leaks wherever you get your podcast, and leave us a nice rating and review, maybe. Erik, by the way, of course, is going to be back with his Easter egg breakdown, but also he has so many videos coming out right now. Send him some love on Twitter at EA Voss. We leave you with our favorite Grogu moment of the episode. Footage not found. Great. All right, guys. Have a good one.
Bye.